Hi guys, welcome back to Fragments of a Simple Life, where every video I make is super simple. In keeping with my holiday theme, my Halloween theme this week, I am doing some more of the scary magazines. I have two of them. If you go look in my magazines link in my playlists, you'll be able to find them. But this is Life magazine, the world's most haunted places. The other magazine we've been working on together is America's Most Haunted Places. So this one goes, outside of the US. I've been using Post-its to keep track of what I read so I don't read the same thing to you twice. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and open it up and take a look. Let's scoot this over for you guys a little bit. It has a table of contents for those of you who have not seen these videos. So we have the introduction, which we've already read together, I think. Ghostly, ghastly, US and Canada, scary, spectral Latin America, bloody, bone-chilling Asia and Australia, hair-raising haunted Europe, and uncanny, unearthly Africa. So what I personally like to do is to just flip through and find a page we haven't done yet, like this. Hair-raising and haunted Europe. So I flipped to the very beginning. It says, the continent where history and legend often intersect is home to some of the world's greatest ghost stories, along with goblins, vampires, and more than a few doorways to the underworld. And this has a little caption that says, weeping and roaring sounds mingle with the appearance of figures moving throughout the ancient stones of Rome's Colosseum. Some resident ghosts are said to sit in the decaying stands while Roman soldiers watch over a long vanished spectacle. Creepy. Okay, let's just go ahead and read this. It's Paranormal Paris, France. So the little caption here says, at the right is the notoriously haunted catacombs of Paris. Below is a statue right here. That looks like a private part, sorry guys. A statue in the gardens and park of the Chateau de Versailles, supposedly haunted by the ghost of Marie Antoinette. I didn't know that. And then at the bottom is a grave. At the Père Lachaise, I don't speak French, guys. It's a cemetery, okay? Just go with it. Okay, let me go ahead and read. It says, on July 14th, 1931, as Paris celebrated Bastille Day, Princess Anna Oblensky, yikes, fell almost 1,000 feet from the third platform of the Eiffel Tower. Yikes. She had recently gotten married and seemed to be in good spirits. Surely it was an accident. But letters found later in her purse proved that she killed herself. One of hundreds of people who have jumped from Iron Lady since it was built in 1889, the princess is now said to be among the many souls who haunt France's national symbol. No matter where you look, the City of Lights has a dark side, from the spirits in the Louvre, which some have called the city's most haunted building, to the eerie catacombs and even nearby Versailles. No, the orbs and ectoplasmic shades sometimes seen in the museum's medieval section are not, in fact, art installations, but perhaps the spirits of people who were once imprisoned there. One particularly well-known entity is the Little Red Ghost. I've never heard that one. Reportedly seen by the likes of Catherine de Medici of Napoleon. Whoa. It's funny when someone like who's famous or like royalty is the one that sees a ghost, then it gets like more credibility. Plenty of spooky places figure in the great works of French literature. Notre Dame Cathedral is known for its hunchback, and the opera has its phantom. But in real life, those structures are reportedly haunted by, respectively, robed figures with tall pointed hats, and the ghost of a suicidal woman who roams the streets outside, searching for a man who jilted her. Though the famously practical Parisians see Père Lachaise in all its Gothic splendor, I'm probably totally saying that wrong, I'm sorry guys, as nothing more or less than a cemetery, is said to be haunted by Oscar Wilde, Marcel Proust, Jim Morrison, that's funny, and a number of, shall we say, lesser mortals. Paris, France. You know, as many times as I've been to England, I've never been to France. It's a hop, skip, and a jump away, too. Maybe one day. I'm going to flip back to the front. Whoa, this looks big. Hold on. Oh, it is big. Okay, this is like a 2-page one. The Psycho House. Edkins Farm. Okay. Let's go ahead and read the little caption for the pictures. It says above, on November 20th, 1957, a deputy sheriff stands outside of Plainfield, Wisconsin farmhouse belonging to mass murderer Ed Gein. That's him right here. Following the discovery of bodies and body parts inside. Yuck. Edward Gein had 2 faces, wrote the 7-Point Journal. One he showed to the neighbors, the other he showed only to the dead. Yikes. That's freaking gross. Okay, let's read it. Somewhere in Plainfield, Wisconsin, cemetery lies an unmarked grave belonging to the man who, thanks to his Hollywood influence, may be America's most infamous serial killer. In the same burial ground lies what remains of the women he dug up in the 1950s and turned into a perverse variety of handkerchiefs. That's disgusting. Or no, sorry, handicrafts. I'm going to throw up. Not surprisingly, the place is said to be haunted by the restless soul of one fiend's victims, unnamed in death as in life, prowling the lonely graves. In November 1957, Plainfield was shaken to its core after 58-year-old Bernice Warden, owner of the local hardware store, disappeared. Her son told the local sheriff that he'd found blood in the store and that a 51-year-old local handyman named Ed Gein had recently come in looking for antifreeze. Tracing Gein down to the ramshackle isolated farmhouse where the odd man had lived alone since the death of his mother, the sheriff found Warden hanging by her feet. Okay, this is disclaimer, it's gonna get gross, like really gross. So turn it off if you guys want to. She was decapitated and eviscerated in this shed. That's terrible. But that was only the beginning of the horror. In the garage-strewn house, law enforcement found chairs reupholstered with fatty human skin. What the hell? You know, I've heard this story, but not in detail, so I'm really grossed out. I'm sorry. A soup bowl made from a human skull, a shade pool made from lips, masks made from human faces, a belt made of female parts, a vest made from more female parts, embalming supplies, an anatomy book, and detective magazines that Gein read by kerosene lamp. There were also human heads, one belonging to Mary Hogan, who had run a Plainfield tavern and mysteriously disappeared in 1954. In the end, the remains of 11 women were discovered in the house. I'm not trying to be gross, but I thought it was going to be more than that. 2 of them, Hogan and Warden, Gein claimed to have shot to death. 9 had been, he said, unearthed from local graves. Many of them had been tanned, as with taxidermy, their flesh used by Gein as garments. The only immaculate part of the dwelling was the nailed-shut room that belonged to Gein's mother, Augusta. The frantically religious woman had subjected her unstable son to ceaseless rants about the evils of women. Her alcoholic husband George died in 1940, followed by Gaines' brother Henry under mysterious circumstances in 1944, leaving Gaines to share the house with his mother, the love of his life. Ugh. But when Augusta too died in 1945, Gaines found himself alone. Well, almost. The necrophiliac bachelor started digging up graves using the remains of female bodies for company. He dressed in women's clothes, some fashioned from the corpses, wishing that he had been born a woman. His mother had prayed for a daughter. Gaines' oblivious neighbors found him mostly harmless. Ed Gain babysat for me once for about an hour, local resident Mrs. George Foster told Life. Oh, God. Just sat there, ate peaches, and watched TV. Locals did, however, acknowledge that he was odd. He talked obsessively, for instance, about crime and women. Former girlfriend Adeline Watkins said, "We discussed every murder we heard about. Eddie explained the mistakes the murderer made." Declaring insane, obviously. In 1958, Gain died of cancer at age 77 in Mendota Mental Health Institute, but his perverse legacy endures, having inspired some of the greatest horror films ever made, among them The Chainsaw Massacre, The Silence of the Lambs, and a little-known classic called Deranged. But the most enduring product of Gaines' legend began in 1959 when writer Robert Bloch published a potboiler called Psycho, which Alfred Hitchcock turned into the classic 1960 film. In it, Norman Bates, the character, was based on Gaines, a boy's best friend and his mother. Oh, wow. You know, I know that all these characters are based off of something that was real. I just had no idea how gross it was. Obviously, he was insane. He was absolutely deranged. Wow. It said Ed Gaines' filthy kitchen is right here. I don't want to read what was found in there. Here's this study. It's a tidy room that belonged to his mother. Ew. And when she died in 1945, he locked the room and he never entered her bedroom ever again. And then these are the films that were based off of it. Oh, God. I don't want to read that again. What I'm going to do is I'm going to rip this in half because it was 2 pages. So that way I don't turn to either one of these pages again. Okay. That was a hard one to read. Like, I like creepy stuff. Okay, let's find another one. No. Here we go. This one looks interesting. That's a pretty picture, but I'm more interested in this one. The spirit statues on Easter Island. It says in the little caption, the 1986 return of Halley's Comet is seen above some of the mysterious moai. Is that how you guys say it? Moai, I think. The giant statues carved centuries ago from volcanic stone on Chile's remote Easter Island. I have heard a little bit about these, but let's read it. It says about 2,300 miles off the coast of Chile, Easter Island, otherwise known as Rapa Nui, I'm probably saying that wrong too, is an isolated patch of deforested volcanic land that is one of the world's most remote inhabited islands. Called Te Pito Te Henua, the navel of the world. By its Polynesian settlers, it is best known as the site of hundreds of moai, the iconic stone heads. Sculpted from volcanic rock between the 10th and 16th centuries, the moai probably honor the islanders' ancestors. No 2 heads are the same. Many were somehow moved from the island's quarry to its perimeter, even though they weigh up to 80 tons. They even have underground bodies. Whoa, okay, I did not know that. What? Okay, I did not know that. No one knows for sure how this feat of prehistoric engineering was accomplished, but some of the island's 5,000 inhabitants insist the statues walked or even flew into place. Animated by a kind of spiritual, or mana, a kind of spiritual force. Some claim they've seen apparitions or heard the ancient voices near the Moai. Others suggest the heads were moved by extraterrestrials. I have heard that before, but we'll leave that to UFO theorist Eric von Doniken. The island's history is creepy, though without the paranormal overlay. The original population has grown too quickly, leading to the dwindling of natural resources. There is even evidence of cannibalism, but recent theories suggest that the infestation of Polynesian rats may have brought the people to their collective knees. All of this is, of course, enough to give even Stephen King nightmares with or without the moving statues. So fascinating. I don't know what the truth is, but I definitely have seen people suggest that it's aliens. 100%. When we can't explain anything, or we can't think of a perfect explanation, we say aliens a lot, I think. The Amityville Horror House. We read about that one in the other magazine just recently. Ooh, okay. Where Rosemary's Baby was born. I'm sure we've all heard of Rosemary's Baby. Let's read the caption. Far left. Melanie Griffin, Antonio Banderas, Cher, and Billy Joel are among the rich and famous who have been denied membership to one of Manhattan's most exclusive clubs. Residents of the Dakota apartment building, but plenty of ghosts, including one who insisted on living with John Lennon and Yoko Ono, never had to gain the co-op board's approval. At left, Lennon sits in the kitchen of his Dakota apartment in 1975, and below, right here, is the building's entrance when Lennon was shot on December 8th, 1980, seen on the 23rd anniversary of his death. Dang. Okay, let's read. When John Lennon and Yoko Ono moved into the Dakota on 72nd Street and Central Park West in 1973, they were aware that the building was rumored to be haunted. So they hired a medium to conduct a seance in their 7th floor apartment and reached Jesse Ryan, the recently departed wife of Dirty Dozen actor Robert Ryan, who'd sold them the unit. No blithe spirit, Jessie promptly announced that she intended to stay within the couple's digs, which did not make the Ryan's daughter Lisa happy. If my mother's ghost belongs anywhere, she told Ono, it's here with me. Most of Dakota's spirits don't belong here, of course, but they seem to have been in residence since the building was completed in 1884. Built for Singer Sewing Machine president Edward S. Clark in Manhattan's then rural Upper West Side, the German Renaissance Revival structure was reportedly called the Dakota because location was as remote as the Dakota Territory. Over time, the Dakota's sinister reputation has grown along with its environs. This was, after all, where Lennon was murdered in 1980. Ono, meanwhile, still lives there? What? I had no idea. And Ira Levin, using it as the setting for his classic 1967 novel, Rosemary's Baby. Though the novelist called it the Black Bramford, he drew on the Dakota's dark mojo for inspiration. Over the years, one character said, the Bramford has had far more than its share of ugly and unsavory happenings. In Levin's world, these include cannibalism, witchcraft, Satanism, and murder. But he may well have added the real-life spirit of the beautiful blonde girl in a yellow dress. Some have called her the house ghost, others a bad omen. It's my birthday, she allegedly said to a painter who later later fell to his death. Others have seen the ghost of a man with the face of a small boy. What? Ew, what? And a mysterious fire started inside writer Rex Reed's apartment. I thought, welcome to the Dakota, he later told Stephen Birmingham in Life at the Dakota. Here, elevators move on their own. Footsteps are heard where there's no mortals walking. Rumblings sound through the walls and the past seems to coexist with the present. A chandelier was seen through the window of a resident's apartment as he walked into the building, despite the fact that he had no chandelier, only the remains of one. Many phenomena seem to emanate from the basement, including the so-called man with a wig, who is known for taking off his wig and shaking it angrily. In Levin's novel, Rosemary calls the basement kind of creepy. So does singer Roberta Flack, a long-time resident who refuses to enter it. This building has been occupied by a lot of people, she told Birmingham. They stay, they have memories, they come back. I would be so sad if that's really what happens to us when we die. Like, you just hang out there and you can't leave. That would be terrible. Alright, let's continue, shall we? Prague. Tower of London. I've been here. That makes me want to read this. Let's read about the Tower of London, shall we? Opposite side, or this opposite page here, we have the south side of the Tower of London, so-called White Tower, the oldest part of the structure as seen through a gap in the wall. On the top, here, the execution block on which Catherine Howard, the fifth wife of King Henry, reportedly practiced laying her head the night before her execution in 1542. And then right here, which is kind of hard to see, but right here, we have prisoner graffiti. I've seen this before. The walls in this tower, the Beauchamp or Beauchamp, I don't know how they say it. It's particularly on the first floor. They're covered with writings, most carved during the 16th and 17th century. It says, "There's only you and I here," a disembodied voice supposedly said to the Tower of London night watchman Arthur Crick, who had spotted along his nightly rounds, stopped to rest his feet. It says, quote, "Just let me get this bloody shoe on," Crick responded, "and there'll be only you." Guards aren't the only ones who say they've experienced supernatural phenomenon in England's fearsome ancient fortress on the River Thames. Started by William the Conqueror in 1066, the complex of towers, now home to everything from the crown jewels to an axe probably used in the last public beheading on Tower Hill, is widely considered the most haunted building in England, for good reason. Throughout its notorious history, this site has seen more than its fair share of bloodshed and misery. It supposedly is the ghost of Henry VI, who was possibly praying here when he was stabbed to death, allegedly in the presence of Richard Plantagenet, I don't know, the Duke of Gloucester in 1471. The unhappy Harry is now said to haunt the Wakefield Tower, where tortures often took place. Well, I don't blame him for being pissed off, right? If he was killed there. But the most storied part of the complex is not surprisingly the oldest, the White Tower, where the ghost known as the White Lady wanders. Her perfume often smelled at the entrance to the chapel of St. John's. A headless ghost, said to be that of Anne Boleyn, is sometimes seen near the Queen's house, close to where she was executed on Tower Green. And the 9-day Queen, Lady Jane Grey, was reportedly spotted by guards on February 12, 1957, the 403rd anniversary of her death by execution. Maybe the saddest of all are the wraths of Edward's young sons, Edward and Richard. In 1483, they were sent to the Tower after being declared illegitimate by their uncle, dang, the Duke again, who may have had them murdered so that he could become king. The skeletons of the two young boys were discovered beneath a staircase in 1674, but the brothers' spirits continued to be seen in white nightgowns, clutching each other in terror. Dang, that's brutal. England's sketchy past literally coming back to haunt them. Let's find one more. The Mineral Palace. I'm unaware of this. Okay. It's the, what does it say? Walixica salt mines? Where is this? I don't even know where this is. It says an astonishingly elaborate chapel of Saint Kinga near Krakow, Poland. Oh, okay. That's why I don't know how to say these words. Named for Poland's patron saint of miners, the chapel is one of 40 that were carved as spots to devout miners to pray for protection. More than 300 feet below ground, it was created by only 3 miners over the course of 67 years. The floor was hewn from single blocks of salt, and even the chandelier is sodium. Holy crap. That's so crazy. 67 years, can you imagine? 3 men, 67 years to build one thing. Beginning in the 13th century and going all the way up until 2007, southern Poland's, again I'm going to butcher this, Waliczka salt mines produced table salt. Believe it or not, it was once more valuable or as valuable as oil is today. Holy crap. Well before Morton's, we all know Morton's salt, the miners meticulously and lovingly sculpted subterranean salt art, statues, chandeliers, and even 40 chapels, often at the risk of their own lives. There are many legends and stories about the mine according to the Handbook of World Salt Resources, because we all have the Handbook of World Salt Resources, right? That's a joke. One is that the Hungarian Princess Kinga, the patron saint of Polish salt miners, after she tossed her engagement ring into a Hungarian mine, the story goes, it miraculously reappeared. Whoa. In the depths of the Mineral Palace, you'll find statues of the 7 dwarfs. I never say that word right, don't make fun of me. And even a friendly ghost, a sort of sodium Casper. He is said to look out for the miners, warning them of imminent explosions or the presence of lethal methane by saying, "Do not go." But this underground world has seen its share of tragedy. In the Joseph Pilsudski chamber, a ferry boat capsized in a lake in 1915, killing a number of Prussian soldiers. These days, the salt statue of St. John of Nepomuk, a Bohemian saint who protects against floods and drowning, stands before the defunct boat. And in 1944, the Nazis forced Polish Jews to work on an assembly line for aircraft machinery. There, the workers carved a Star of David that can still be seen. These days, the mine has become not only a tourist attraction, but an occasional destination spot for thrill-seeking, like bungee jumping, windsurfing, and hot air ballooning. Weddings and even business conferences are held in the depths. And health resorts offers, get this, algae facials, but no salt scrubs. Ha ha ha, that's the writer making a joke. That's funny. I know I said that would be the last one, but let's try to find one more. Let's go like all the way back to the beginning. Alcatraz. I think we read about that in the last one though. Hold on. Did that one. Did we read all the ones for America already? I'm trying to see. Oh no, we didn't. Here we go. How about the Edgar Allan Poe house this will be our last one. This is in Baltimore. It says, oh, let me read the caption. It says, Orrin C. Painter erected this marker in 1913 to commemorate Poe's original burial place in Westminster Hall Burial Ground in Baltimore. Well, that was nice of him, I guess. It says, in the early morning hours of September 27th, 1849, Edgar Allan Poe left Richmond, Virginia on a steamer heading to Baltimore. He wasn't seen again until nearly a week later when he was found delirious, probably drunk, wearing someone else's clothes in a Baltimore tavern. Hospitalized, the great writer raved, repeatedly shouting someone's name until, on October 7th, he muttered, "Lord help my poor soul," and died. What? Now a museum, the Edgar Allan Poe House on Baltimore's Amity Street, that was where the writer lived in the early 1830s. The locals say haunted, but not by Poe's poor soul. Some have seen a spirit of a stout old woman dressed in clothing of the 1800s. Others have reported visitations of a specter known as Mr. Eddy. Doors and windows open and shut when there's no one there. Visitors sometimes feel persistent tapping on their shoulders, and a neighbor has seen a candle-like lights bobbing in the museum after closing time. Poe's ghost has been seen in the town's port area, Fells Point, where the writer seems to have wandered during his final days. A spirit affectionately named Edgar is said to prowl the Horse You Came In On saloon, Baltimore's oldest pub. And beginning in 1949, a mysterious person known as the Phantom Toaster toasted the writer with a glass of cognac at his grave every January 19th, Poe's birthday, leaving behind an unfinished brandy bottle and 3 red roses. But after vanishing in 2009, the toaster was thought to be quoth the raven nevermore, until a new toaster reignited the tradition in 2016. Ooh, I wonder who the new toaster is. I wonder who the old toaster was. That's really cool. All right, you guys, I think I'm going to stop there. Thank you so much for letting me botch all these crazy, horrible names, because I guess I'm not very cultured. But it's interesting to read, just the history, not just the creepy parts. If you want to see more from me, please don't forget to comment, subscribe. I appreciate every single one of you. And of course, I could probably do this magazine alone 3 more times, but I don't know if I'll be able to before Halloween. But there's plenty more, and I have my other magazine to do too. I will see you guys next time. Bye.